Thanks very much.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach, and I'm delighted to be able to introduce this bill today. It's been sort of in the works for a long time, so it's the Commission of Investigation Amendment Bill 2023, and it would aim to amend the current Commission of Investigation Bill. And the idea for this bill came to me during the work on the mother and baby institutions during that time. So as we know from the report and the manner in which the Commission wrapped up its work in January 2021, my main objective when drafting the bill was to ensure that former members of a Commission of Investigation, upon written request, would be required to appear before the relevant Joint Oireachtas Committee, and that they would need to appear within 6 months after the presentation of the Commission's final report. So I really wanted to ensure that members could not simply discharge their duties without a certain level of Oireachtas scrutiny. Because we all remember everything that happened in relation to the Mother and Baby Home Commission report, which was delayed for several years. And then when it finally came out, I know people were very anxiously awaiting it and were disappointed, is an understatement, I think, when it actually was published. And then there was a whole load of series of events, and people are aware in this House how the Children's Committee, which I chair, we had requested on several occasions for the Commission members to come in before us, and at that point they had been dissolved. There was no obligation on them, but it left an awful lot of questions, I suppose, for people. As we know, when the Commission wound up, it happened despite repeated calls for greater accountability and for an opportunity to hear from members around the manner in which they conducted their investigation and compliance with the terms of reference. And I think that's the key point to this. It's not to interfere with investigations, because that would be totally inappropriate, but it's to see how the questions were conducted, how the investigation was conducted, and if there was in fact compliance with the terms of reference. And I think also that we all know, if you are conducting a piece of work and you believe that there's going to be greater scrutiny at the end of it, I think you actually do that work in a different manner. And I think that it would have been very helpful if we had this at the time of the mother and baby investigation, but unfortunately we didn't. But I do think we should look to try and amend this legislation now so that we can do an awful lot better going forward. Obviously we would all love a situation where you wouldn't have to have commissions of investigation, but that's unrealistic, and we know that they do have to take place. So next year actually marks the 20th anniversary of the enactment of the Commission of Investigation Act 2004, which established commissions with functions that included investigation and reporting on matters of public concern following referral from government. One of the main goals of the legislation and this model of investigation and reporting was to reduce both time and money. Previous decades were marked by a series of costly tribunals, and mainly synonymous with those that share them, the Mahon, Moriarty and Smithick tribunals, to name a few. By 2003, it was estimated the cost of a series of high-profile inquiries during the 90s had reached 100 million and would continue to grow. So my desire to see a level of accountability and wider discussion in public in the form of the committee setting was the driving force behind this bill. I do acknowledge there are a number of wider issues that have been highlighted, particularly by the Law Reform Commission, around the benefits of conducting hearings in public as opposed to private, and the Tribunal Commission model of investigation and reporting. And whilst I acknowledge the broader issues in relation to the commissions of investigations, I do think we have that model here at the moment, and I think that where we do have it, we should strive to ensure that it's done to the absolute highest level and with the most accountability that we can have. So I do hope that we get support from the government by this bill. We've been drafting this for the past, I would say, year at least anyway, in conjunction with the very able Library and Research Centre here in the Oireachtas and all the other bodies that I'd like to thank them actually for all their efforts and their help and their support and all of the back and forth that goes on. This is only the first stage and has to move on to second stage, and I know sometimes there can be a delay, so I do hope we can see this move forward, as I think everyone would agree that if we could have changed how the situation ended with the Mother and Baby Commission of Investigation, we would have liked to been able to do that, and this is the opportunity to do so. So thank you very much, Cathaoirleach.